Hello. Today I'm going to be doing a commentary on episode 1 of The Binding Chains. And here we get to see the first one, or the first scene. One thing that I'm going to point out is that, once again, I am the only one that works on these episodes. So trying to make these chains move while also being the one operating the camera is incredibly annoying. And by camera, I mean an iPhone, as that's what the stop motion is done on. And before that, I didn't have a clicker to take pictures, so I had to tap my phone, which resulted in this shakiness that I really do not like. Fortunately, I did buy a clicker later on. That way we don't have to deal with the shakiness. Finally. Also, shout out to Mew. I believe that's how you pronounce his name, but he's the one that makes the really iconic creepypasta music. And I was really inspired by those old creepypasta videos, honestly. I really like them. And I think it's a very nice thing to finally kind of do one of my own of sorts. Of course, it's not a creepypasta because, well, you get what I'm getting at. A sort of like webtoon horror type of deal. Yeah. And the art style change. This is my biggest regret for this episode. I do not like how the art style changes. It just looks bad. And I used to say that I just thought it wouldn't be too noticeable. But in reality, I think I now know why. I think I was just heartbroken around this time. Well, I know I was heartbroken because I experienced it. And it was like it was a really bad one, honestly. And, if you're trying to do something that's already difficult and then you have that go on with you, it really takes the wind out of you. I'm just gonna point this out too. I know that it can be a thing to kind of look deeper into an artist and his artwork. While episode 1, or more like the entire series, while the entire series is based off of some of my experience, it is not my own experience, if that makes sense. It is only based off of it, but is heavily storified, you know. I've had my personal problems, but like I'm not gonna vilify people like in the series obviously does. But if I were to go more in depth with how the story progresses, I would be spoiling everything, and there wouldn't be anything to look forward to. But just putting that out there. No, things are not that bad. It was my personal life. I just thought it was a nice concept to look more into, and honestly, though, one of my biggest complaints was both this episode and episode 1. I mean, episode 2 is that this art style is just a bit too cute for this story. Which I know that there's a lot of shows that kind of have a cutesy art style with a dark story. But I don't think this one really does it that well. Because, it was never the intention. A lot of shows that have that, they go in with the intention of having a cutesy art style but a dark message. This one went in without that intention. So you can tell that the art style is a little out of place. But when episode 3 eventually comes out, it does have a brand new art style. But that will also be a spoiler, so I'm not going to go more in depth with that one. Just know it's not going to look the same anymore. Which means I really need to start updating some of its logos and promotionals. That frame. I really hate some of these frames, by the way. Like, if you look at a frame and say to yourself, nah, that kind of looks funny, I am looking at that frame and thinking to myself, that looks horrible. But in many ways, the fact this episode even exists is a miracle, honestly. Probably even more. No, not really, actually. I was gonna say probably even more than my movie, but no. My movie, the fact that the movie exists is a miracle of itself. Because this one is like a personal me project and not like a collaborative thing. But maybe someday it will be. I really couldn't say much about this episode because it's a lot to set up, but not a lot of payoff, which is something that I don't particularly like. But fortunately for this series, episode 2 does get a little bit better. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.